Baba 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 bo. Hey, what's fucking going on? I shouldn't have swore in the first 30 seconds. Damn. All right. Let's look at some dinosaur stuff. You. Also, I don't know if you can see that. Funny shit went down today. I didn't do that, by the way. Buddy of mine. We were talking, fucking around, and shit happened. Ooh. All right, let's lose. Oh, the snack that smiles back, goldfish. Sorry. Oh, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. Snack that smiles back, dinosaurs. Oh god, I love this. All right, let's get the audio going on my headphones. Ah! I was like, skibby bibby da bobby boo. A hip dibble dobble doo. That's weird. I know I have volume turned up. Yep. So I have volume up. Now, where are my dinosaurs? Ooh, sands and teeth. Ooh, could Spinosaurus survive modern day Africa?
And one of the largest
Answer,
theropods
probably.
to have ever walked the planet. The Spinosaurus is one of the most famous theropods to have ever.
I mean, honestly, just look at crocodiles. Look at how well they do. I feel like I know Spinosaurs aren't actually like crocodiles or anything, or related to crocodiles in any way, but at the same time, an aquatic reptile is already very successful in Africa. I could see a Spinosaurus being equally successful, especially if they follow similar like location and like movement patterns to crocodiles. Legitimately, like they just have to go to the same places because there's a large volume of animals that run through the places that crocodiles stay at. All Spinosaurus has to do is run some crocs out and stay there. Or just move downriver all day. I mean, it's fucking Africa, dude. There's always going to be something by the river.
Existed, one of the few that gets often thrown into the ring with Tyrannosaurus Rex. But what if
We all know why, too.
instead we threw this titan of prehistory into our modern day, specifically within modern day Africa? Is it built to last, or will it face a quick extinction? As always, we cover the big three areas of analysis, this being environmental suitability,
That's a good point. Could it even survive? See, here a big problem with dinosaurs and oh, that's where that went. Dinosaurs and stuff, like putting them into a modern day environment, is that they aren't built for a modern day environment. They're built for different atmospheric conditions. Even if it's not as different, even like for an animal as large as a Spinosaurus, small atmospheric changes could be a big deal. Let's be quite frank. I've added what did I add? Oh, I added an A. Yeah, so they had higher levels of CO2 and slightly higher oxygen. See, and I don't know how that would affect an animal today. Because I feel like they wouldn't be able to get as big. Oh, hi! They would eat everybody. Hi, Dave Ducky. And also, did I say hi to Pyromaniac? I hope I did. Hello.
diet, and resistance to threats and competition. These areas will all be scored out of 10 before being summed up for an ultimate survival.
See, my question is, would a Spinosaurus be bold enough to attack, say, an elephant or a rhino drinking at the side of a river? I think probably. They were mostly fish eaters. Well, we think they were mostly fish eaters, but I feel like if I had the opportunity, I would 100% attack a land animal.
survival score. As always, if you enjoyed these videos, then make sure to like and subscribe.
Actually, what is the volume of fish in Africa? How many rivers are in Africa? Okay, so there's 63. It would have to probably stay in northern Africa to get a better chance at like survival. So it probably no, because northern Africa is like where Egypt and shit is, isn't it? No, that's a specific corner of Africa though. So probably, honestly, I would think the best place for a Spinosaurus to be would either be somewhere along the coastline, or right here, in this little belt right here. That's where I think they would do best at. Especially right here. There's like a bunch of water shit right here. That's a really nice spot. And also right here by the Red Sea. But that is also right next to... Puta! Let me zoom in! Wah! Meh. Where is the sideways scroller? Meh. So there's Nile. Egypt's over here. Yeah, so like this pathway right here and here. This little T shape right here is where I think Spinosaurus would probably do good at. Yeah, right here, right by the Congo. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I think this area would be where... Actually, where did Spinosaurus... I don't know. Like, where in Africa? And it lived exactly where I thought it would. Oh, actually, no. Not quite. It actually lived right here around the Egypt area. So it lived up in north. So I was right. Living up north would be better for... No. That's general shit. Yeah, because it was found in Egypt. That's right, because it's Spinosaurus aegypticus. I'm a fucking idiot. Nazu for you. It's oh, shit! Hey, what's up, Pyros? Yeah, so... Yeah, I forgot. Spinosaurus aegypticus, so duh, it would be here in Egypt. But I feel like in modern day, I mean... What is... Egypt, So it'd be humid river deltas, tidal flats, shallow seas. Yeah, like along the coastline and shit. Yeah, so I was right. Either on the coastline or in that T shape that goes right through the middle of Africa. Because that's a really good green spot. Look at this. I mean, it's all green, but you know what I mean. Like, see that little splotch? It goes right above the Congo. And I'm pretty sure this is like the area that the gorillas are in. No, I don't know why I said gorilla. Yeah, yeah, like right here. And this is where I think a Spinosaurus would do good. Because I feel like there would be dense enough foliage. No, but they produce oxygen, not carbon dioxide. You need someplace with more carbon dioxide. So... Oh, I didn't think about that. I mean, they say shit like that in movies, but you don't, like, take that seriously. You don't go, oh, we're terraforming the world so that dinosaurs can live here again. Like, you hear that, like, in TV shows and movies and stuff. But, like, you don't think that's real. You don't think that, oh, yeah, if we pollute the environment enough, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will be at a point where dinosaurs can effectively live here the way they used to. Like, obviously, now, that wouldn't be how it would go down, but, like, because if dinosaurs came back in the way that we understand them, they would be evolving to the current atmospheric conditions. So they would be fine. But if we like straight up just like time travel a dinosaur into the future, that's different.
Subscribe and let us get started. The rivers and flood
I am 37 seconds into this video, and it's been 11 minutes.
plains of Cretaceous North Africa were once ruled by Spinosaurus aegypticus, one of the largest and most distinctive theropods to have ever existed. Measuring around 14 meters or 45 feet in length, 2.4 meters or 7.8 feet at the hip, potentially reaching 5 meters or 16 feet at the top of its sail. It was also a bulky predator, with estimated weights putting it at around 7 to 8 tons. It is noted for its elongated skull, crocodile-like jaws, and most famously, the tower.
So maybe we'd do better in the savannah, I guess. Where? Oh, I was so close. So it was just like a couple miles north of where actually no, it's actually right where I was suggesting, right here. Holy shit, I was right on the money. My god, I was on the money on that.
Sail-like structure along its back.
Oh.
The function of that sail remains debated. It may have been utilized for display or thermoregulation, but its presence made Spinosaurus instantly recognizable among all other predators. The thing with this absolute giant is that its mobility is suspected to be rather poor. I mean, on land it seems more likely that Spinosaurus was a slow mover. Its leg proportions, large sail, and long paddle-like tail would have hindered its maximum speed. It was certainly slower than other theropods its own.
Yeah, or it could mean that it lived a life more similar to a crocodile. Like, it's probably faster in water than it is on land, and probably doesn't spend a lot of time moving fast. It probably only move fast in short bursts, again, like a crocodile.
Size. While I cannot say its exact speed, I wouldn't be surprised if it was less than 20 kilometers an hour or 12 miles per hour. I mean, Serena's 2024 study pointed it to being a slow moving biped, meaning it was not all that fast nor agile. Now when it comes to its swimming ability, well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We had poor Serena on the side of Spinosaurus not being all that developed for swimming, while others such as...
You also have to consider this is... Actually, no, you don't have to consider that because there's plenty of aquatic reptiles before and after the Spinosaurus. It might just be poorly optimized. Yes. Oh, shit. Oh, hey. Sorry, that was random.
Ibrahim might argue otherwise. For the sake of this video and for Spinosaurus, I'll have the Spinosaurus being capable of swimming, however it was nowhere near to the level of crocodilians, with it spending much of its time stalking prey in the shallower ends. Its bite force is also a feature that often gets underrated, mainly because it gets compared to the powerhouses such as Tyrannosaurus rex and Giganotosaurus. According to Sakamoto's study, estimates place its anterior bite force at roughly 4,829 newtons and its posterior bite force at around 11,930. 1,820. According to Sakamoto's study, estimates place its anterior bite as well as taking down decently sized dinosaurs. Its long conical teeth were not serrated, but instead well adapted for puncturing and holding, suggesting a feeding strategy specialized for aquatic hunting. As for intelligence, well, Spinosaurus likely possessed cognitive abilities comparable to that of other large theropods. Studies on its relatives such as Baryonyx and Irritator reveal brain structures typical of carnivorous dinosaurs, functional but not exceptionally advanced. Evidence indicates that Irritator had enlarged floccular lobes, aiding in eye stabilization, an adaptation that would be beneficial for tracking fast-moving objects in the water. Similarly, its olfactory bulbs were comparable in size to other theropods, suggesting that Spinosaurus may have retained a decent sense of smell despite its aquatic habits. In terms of diet, well, Spinosaurus is of course hypothesized Irritator had enlarged functional but not exceptionally. Irritator revealed brain structures typical of carnivorous dinosaurs, functional but not exceptionally advanced. Evidence indicates that Irritator had enlarged floccular lobes, aiding in eye stabilization, an adaptation that would be...
Oh shit. Hello. Hello. Well, he asked me to tell you to call him. So we were talking. Yeah, I know. I don't know why. Basically, there was an accident. We were talking. He accidentally shot the wall. And also let me shelf. Not that I'm aware of. We were in the basement, so I'm not sure I don't know who heard and if anybody called the cops, because I haven't heard anybody yet. There's a hole. Nope. Nothing's happened, and I didn't see any other damage. I think it just went into the concrete. Yeah, it was down here behind my computer in the basement. Yeah, he did kind of blow through Lemmy's shelf, though. So there's like a chunk of one of Lemmy's shelves missing. Alright, is there anything you want me to do? Okay. Alright. You have a good one. I just said that with the microphone on, didn't I? I'm a fucking idiot. That's great. That's fucking great. Freaking you. Why is this happening right now? What is happening?
Beneficial for tracking fast-moving
things.
objects in the water. Similarly, its olfactory bulbs were comparable in size to other theropods, suggesting that Spinosaurus may have retained a decent sense of smell despite its aquatic habits. In terms of diet, well, Spinosaurus is of course hypothesized to have primarily targeted large fish, some potentially weighing close to a ton. However, it was likely
Son of a bitch. What is happening right now?
opportunistic with small herbivores and
Fucking
even other
phone.
carnivores not
Kiss my
having off
ass.
the menu when the opportunity arose. There has even been a discovered Spinosaurus tooth being embedded in a pterosaur vertebrae, further reinforced even been herbivores and even other potential an adaptation that would be beneficial for tracking faster lobes and exceptionally advanced. Evidence indicates that Irritator had enlarged floccular lobes, aiding in eye stabilization, an adaptation that would be beneficial for tracking fast-moving objects in the water. Similarly, its olfactory bulbs were comparable in size to other theropods, suggesting that Spinosaurus may have retained a decent sense of smell despite its aquatic habits. In terms of diet, well, Spinosaurus is of course hypothesized to have primarily targeted large fish, some potentially weighing close to a ton. However, it was likely opportunistic, with small herbivores and even other carnivores.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Is because, like, it's a predator. Every predator is opportunistic. There isn't a predator out there that wouldn't see free food and be like, ooh, snap. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do that. If somebody offered you free food, you're not going to be like, no thanks. You're like, oh, cool, free food. Like, it's common sense. Every predator is opportunistic. It's a fucking predator, dude.
Not have been off the
I say
menu
that like
really-
he's dumb for saying that. Like, he's not dumb for saying that, for pointing that out, because there are people who don't understand that. And there are people for that doesn't need to be explained. It doesn't need to be elaborated in this context. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, all predators. Yeah, I don't know.
The opportunity arose. There has even been a discovered Spinosaurus tooth being embedded in a pterosaur vertebrae, further reinforcing its opportunistic nature. It also shared its ecosystem with other
What is
apex
that
vertebrae,
from?
further reinforcing
What is that from? I don't recognize that.
its opportunistic
Did he make that for this video?
nature. It also shared its ecosystem with other
Actually, it does look like kind of look like that
vertebrae,
Crocodontosaurus.
further reinforcing its opportunistic nature. It also shared its ecosystem with other apex predators like Carcharodontosaurus.
Oh,
And while direct
Carcharodontosaurus,
competition may have been limited due to the different hunting niches, territorial disputes or confrontation over resources were limited.
The Carcharodontosaurus.
Were almost certainly a part of its life. These encounters, along with potential intraspecific conflict with other Spinosaurus individuals, as well as sauropods, would have given it experience in facing large, formidable opponents.
So I'm bopping to this background music. I actually do like this background music. It's actually good as shit.
Unlike its cinematic depictions, the real Spinosaurus was not an unstoppable land-based super predator that could destroy anything in its path. Rather,
That was T-Rex.
it was quite a specialized semi-aquatic hunter that dominated aquatic ecosystems. I would argue the true Spinosaurus was far more fascinating and interesting, holding many mysteries that we still need to uncover.
What? What?
So with all that being
Dude, an elephant? Like, an elephant steel snout on a Spinosaurus would go hard as
established,
hell.
it is now time to figure out how it would perform in the modern day. If the Spinosaurus were to be placed in modern day Africa, it would find a continent that is both familiar and foreign. In terms of temperature, the transition would not be especially harsh. The Cretaceous world that it inhabited was warm, averaging around 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit, comparable to some of the climates of modern day Africa. Although during temperature extremes, much of Africa has the potential to exceed well over 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. From a thermal standpoint, Spinosaurus could likely tolerate modern conditions quite well. However, extremes would certainly pose a problem. Another issue is that the
That's
broader
every animal. That's every animal, though.
landscape is very well a different challenge. Where Cretaceous North Africa was once dominated by vast river systems, sprawling floodplains and humid wetlands, much of Africa's region has become arid or semi-arid. The Sahara now is a brutal terrain for something like Spinosaurus.
Yeah, which is why you go
Suitable
straight down the
environments
middle.
for such a large semi-aquatic predator
Along the
would need to
coastline.
include somewhat stable water sources, especially during dry seasons. Much of these regions would resemble fragments of its ancient habitat, but they are far smaller in scale and often separated by vast distances of inhospitable terrain. Given this, the Spinosaurus would likely find patches of comfort in certain rivers, but would struggle to
Where is this
maintain viable territory across
From
fragmented
Jurassic World or
habitats.
something?
While the temperature would push against its tolerance, the real kicker would be the lack of continuous wetland systems that would restrict its range severely. The Spino receives an environment
Oh, those are information sources anyway.
environmental suitability score of 6.5 out of 10. As for prey, well, there are many options available, but in saying that, when you have one of the largest theropods walking around in a modern ecosystem, you already know that it's going to require a lot of food to keep going. The Nile perch would likely be one of the Spinosaurus's primary targets. Found throughout the Nile and several large water areas, this fish can reach lengths of 2 meters or 6.5 feet and weigh up to 200 kilograms or 440 pounds. While smaller than the fish the Spinosaurus was used to, these would still be sizable and energy-rich meals. In deeper or larger bodies of water, the Spinosaurus may also encounter the Goliath tigerfish, a large fish that could grow up to 50 kilograms or 110 pounds in weight. Crocodiles would also present potential, though more risky prey. The Nile crocodile could potentially reach 5 meters or 16 feet in length and weights exceeding 800 kilograms.
Yeah, but that's a fucking crocodile, dude. Like, no. You don't fuck with cracks. I don't care if you are a crack.
163 pounds. While mature individuals would be dangerous prey options for young Spinosaurs, the adult size difference would be just too significant and they would make a nice prey option. Moving beyond reptiles and fish.
Like, I guess, but like, still, I wouldn't want to fuck with crocs, even if they were smaller than me.
Large fish-eating birds and mammals that frequent Africa's
Because if you get swarmed, it doesn't matter if they're smaller. I mean, granted, crocodiles don't really work together, but they could just attack at the same time.
Ways may also attract the Spino's attention. The shoebill stork, weighing around 5 to 7 kilograms or 11 to 15 pounds, could be snatched by a young Spino from time to time, being the equivalent of a pterosaur. Now, of course, there are your classic zebras and wildebeests, which roam the savannas. Both sizable creatures for today's standards, however, despite being easy prey to theoretically take down, the Spinosaurus would have to catch it first. This brings up its biggest issue: speed. As we covered, Spinosaurus's proportions...
Motherfucker, we all know the wildebeest migration. I know I was looking down for a minute, sorry. But like, I was still listening. Like, we all know about the big wildebeest migration, where they all go across the river and all the crocs eat them. Granted, it isn't super often, but it's not like it's unprecedented for an animal that's usually slow or doesn't like move fast except for in short bursts. I mean, again, crocodiles. Oh my god. Come on, man. It's right there. This is why people keep comparing them. This is why we have always compared crocodiles to Spinos ever since we saw, like, the snout.
Likely limited its top speeds.
It's like, it's legit just returning to monkey. You're just going right back to where we were in the beginning, where it was basically just a crocodile on 2 legs. Because that's what it fucking is. I don't give a damn what anybody says. This bitch is a crocodile.
Positions it to take down larger prey. This brings in the African buffalo, which acts as another potential prey option. This herbivore on its heavier ends could weigh up to 870 kilograms or 1918 pounds. Now, this prey option would still be quite fast and agile.
Am I an idiot? Am I a fucking idiot who's misremembering things? Alright, I'm an idiot. Let's take the water buffalo. Little water boofers. Huh.
In comparison to what the Spinosaurus would be used to. Instead, the Spinosaurus would likely find success ambushing a large herd of these buffaloes around a water source, where panic would give the Spinosaurus the opportunity to take down a few.
Just like a crocodile.
Larger semi-aquatic mammals like the hippopotamus, which can weigh over 3,200 kilograms or 7,000 pounds and possess a bite force of 8,000.
I don't give a damn. No hippo is going to approach a fucking Spinosaurus. No way. I don't give a damn how aggressive hippos are. Nobody's going to see an animal like 5 times their size and be like, yeah, I'm going to fuck with that.
100 newtons would pose a greater challenge. This of course would be a result of their aggressive nature, which would lead to young Spinosaurs often being taken out when looking for other
okay, that's a good point.
Water sources. An adult Spinosaurus was over twice its size and held a much meaner bite force. At best, the hippo would have to...
Like, look at how fucking much bigger it is than a hippo. A hippo is not looking at an adult Spinosaurus and thinking, I need to fuck with that thing. I need to get it out of here. No, it's gonna turn tail and fucking run. I don't give a damn how aggressive hippos are. They're not stupid.
Spinosaurus was over twice its size and held a much meaner bite force. At best, the hippo would have to run, otherwise it would end up as lunch. Rhinos could also be potential prey options, although they would be far more potent. Their 50-inch horns could do some serious damage if piercing a vulnerable area. But again, as the rhino's heaviest weight is around half that of a Spinosaur, I think that they are severely outmuscled. Giraffes on the other hand would be a decent source of food while also being not too dangerous. They are large,
Bullshit. They would kick the shit out of a Spino. A fucking giraffe would fuck up a Spinosaurus. It would kick him in the sail and insta-kill that bitch. You fucking kidding me?
But not too heavy, being only around
Who cares if it's not too heavy? It's gonna kick like a goddamn mule. It's a fucking mega mule, dude. It's a giant horse. It's gonna fuck up a Spino. You really think the fucking giant bird has any... Like, have you seen a horse eat a chick? I've seen a horse eat a chick. I'll tell you what, that motherfucker's gonna be eating a Spino baby every damn day.
Wait, and the issue being a giraffe is so tall that you could spot a Spino from a mile away, giving them...
And would also kick the shit out of it. If it ever got close. It would kick it in the fucking face or in the sail and immediately break something. And the Spino would either run away or it would be dazed long enough that the fucking giraffe could just either run or hit it again.
The opportunity to escape. And of course, we have to wrap up the diet section with the most dangerous prey option around.
Dude, I love this character model. Is that Prehistoric Kingdom game?
This comes in the form of the
It's
African
definitely
elephant.
not
This
Jurassic
absolute
Park.
giant actually rivaled the Spinosaur when it comes to pure size. Typically, these elephants reach around 6 meters or 20 feet in length and 3.3 meters.
They do? Yeah. I didn't know they were 20 feet long. I know they're 10 feet tall, but
and 6 tons in
I didn't think about that.
weight. However, the absolute largest bull elephants can weigh in at over 10 tons. This giant mammal
Yeah, so
can
that's T-Rex size, by the way. That's like the lower end of a T-Rex size. That's fucking big.
exceed the weights that the Spinosaurus is estimated to reach. That added with their speed of 40 kilometers an hour or 25 miles per hour and power that allows them to uproot trees and flip over cars makes them a mammal best to avoid. And of course, for the Spinosaurus, scavenging would be of no issue. Overall, the Spinosaurus would find enough food to survive, but not necessarily easily. While its hunting tools match Africa's aquatic fauna well,
So, like any other predator.
prey size
So basically, Spinosaurus would be perfectly fine. It would be fine, just like every other animal. It would struggle to survive, just like any other fucking animal. Surprise, surprise.
abundance and environmental variability would limit how efficiently
That
it
actually is really cool that a Spinosaurus is, like, built for the modern age. That's actually really cool.
sustain itself. It could
I'm not
dominate in the water,
surprised, but
but
it's still
scarcity along with its lack of speed would keep it from its diet being fully reliable. So with this, I believe that the Spinosaurus would receive a dietary score of 6.5 out of 10. Within an ecosystem of modern-day Africa, Spinosaurus would stand out as an apex predator, but even apex predators face rivals and competition. While few living animals could challenge it outright in size or strength, several formidable species could compete with it or occasionally threaten its dominance. The most direct ecological competitor would likely be the Nile crocodile. Although it does serve as a potential prey option for a full-grown
can still eat all the
Spinosaurus,
other
this
food that
species
it's
also
looking on
represented
down.
a key rival. Nile crocodiles dominate many of Africa's waterways.
Damn, that's a big motherfucker.
Is capable of preying on large fish, antelope, and even on the occasional buffalo. They would hold considerable control over aquatic territories. A territorial Spinosaur would likely work to exclude crocodile groups from its hunting territory, utilizing intimidation and physical displays to secure the best fishing grounds. Also, with the Nile crocodile possessing such a strong bite force, young Spinosaurs would be extremely vulnerable to predation, meaning that
Fuck
the
you.
parents would have to look
I
out
don't
for
know why I
them.
said that.
On land, however, Spinosaur's supremacy would somewhat wane. Its slow, sprawling walk and aquatic specialization would make it poorly suited for dominance in drier habitats. Terrestrial carnivores such as lions, hyenas, and African leopards would of course not pose a direct threat to an adult Spinosaur, but they would compete indirectly by targeting overlapping prey sources. As great of a hunter that the Spinosaurus was likely, it was simply not built to hunt modern-day fauna, leading to it being a worse
Yeah, maybe.
soft predator when thrown into this ecosystem. Instead, it will likely find great success in scavenging off of the prey that modern predators take down. If a pride of lions spent their energy taking down a buffalo, they would certainly not challenge a young 4-ton Spino, let alone an 8-ton adult. Leopards would
That's a good
likely
point.
hold the greatest success in repelling having its prey stolen through bringing them up into a tall tree. However, as with the Nile crocodiles, juveniles would be extremely vulnerable to these faster predators, which could pick them off with relative ease. By its dominance in individual encounters, Spinosaurus would exist in a delicate balance with its surroundings. Aggressive crocodiles
Weirdly enough, I feel like a Spinosaurus would probably do better in America than it would in Africa.
would remain constant competitors, and extended dry seasons could force dangerous travels in search of stable habitats. In such a competitive and unpredictable world, even a giant like Spinosaurus would not be untouchable. I would argue when it comes to resistance to threats and competition, the Spinosaurus would still score an 8 out of 10. It really only loses out on points because it is not completely suited for terrestrial or aquatic life, so it could be competed in both sectors as well as being extremely vulnerable when growing up. So with that being all said and done, it is time to get into the ultimate survival scenario. If you enjoyed so far, make sure to like and subscribe. Well, if we drop populations of Spinosaurs across Africa, well, a lot could and would happen. First things first on a Spino's to-do list, this would be to establish a territory. Given its immense size and imposing presence, this would not be particularly difficult. Large river systems would likely become prime real estate. A dominant or even a few dominant individuals could easily claim several kilometers of riverbank, using its size and aggression to deter any large predators or competitors. Smaller populations may also settle around deltas or swamps, taking advantage of the abundant water and fish population.
What the fuck is that thing at the bottom left? What are those teeth, dog? Why does it look like it has a zipper for a mouth? I do really like his Spino, though. That's really nice. Everything else is pretty great. That's like... I like that the water isn't blue in this.
Once established, the Spinosaurus would adapt quickly to its new environment.
Sounds like sunset.
Despite the differences in its terrain from the Cretaceous, its physiology would make it well suited for life around modern Africa waterways. Its dense bones would help it swim across
Alright.
water, with its long tail providing the propulsions to swim across deeper sections, although they aren't going to be star divers. In terms of hunting behavior, Spinosaurus would likely adopt an ambush strategy. It could remain motionless over the surface, waiting for large fish or crocodiles to come within reach before striking with its long jaws. In shallow waters, it might walk across riverbeds using sensory receptors on its snout to detect movement, similar to how modern crocodiles detect vibration. Its conical teeth would make short work of slippery prey, while its sheer strength could allow it to overpower smaller aquatic predators with ease.
Why does it look like the floor of a church?
Slippery prey, while its sheer
Brother, I guess it's like crocodile skew pattern. But that, look at that. That looks like a fucking piece of a church right there. What's with that texturing? That's cool.
strength could allow it to overpower smaller aquatic predators with ease. I mean, what a sight it would be to see a 1-ton crocodile being lifted out of the water by a fully grown Spino. However, relatively small aquatic prey could only feed populations for so long. Spinos would fill a portion of their diet purely off of scavenging. Not lions, nor hyena, nor leopard, nor cheetah, nor wild dog, nor anything else for the matter could protect their successful hunts from this theropod. Any carnivore bold enough to stand up to this giant would be swiftly swatted away like a fly. Hippos, of course, would present a form of territorial conflict, but while they are aggressive and capable of defending themselves against modern threats, the Spinosaur's greater size and aquatic ability would allow it to dominate when needed. I mean, it has been observed many times over that hippos will actively avoid and move away from approaching elephants, and when they don't, it never ends well for them. I believe the same would apply here. However, you might argue that the Spino would rather them around, as they would act as potential food options. Over the first few months within these ecosystems, the Spinosaurus would fulfill itself help by taking down fish, reptiles, and the medium-sized mammals that call this place home. Young spinos would likely be taken down by adult crocodiles, hippos, and even rhinos, whether due to territorial conflict or failed hunts. However, eventually this newly introduced prehistoric
What is this? What? Oh, a free-to-play samurai game! Like, actually? Like, I saw the hat and stuff. I was... What?
I don't. Do you know the road up ahead? Who are you? Same as you. A wanderer.
Now it's starting to make sense.
A guest in dreams,
Oh.
yet unaware.
This time, I'll be the villain.
So it is a fight.
But I have been on this path too long now. The street was filled with ghosts.
Without a single coin, you call yourself the god of treasure?
I'll give you one more chance. Go on. Kill me.
Hold up.
If I don't go back, what'll happen to the others? Mere Anne. Such an unseemly struggle.
We're kidding.
You've got a sword, right?
That's gonna have to go on hang.
So why couldn't you save her?
That's dope as hell. Dude, I came here for a prehistoric kingdom, but I found that. That was dope. Still only 30 bucks? Wait, what was that other thing? This is gonna be cringe.
They told us to shut it down, that it was too wild, too unstable. And maybe
That's a Jurassic Park 3 reference.
they were right.
That's an aviary. But it's definitely made that way because of Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Tenebris Island. The terrain is rough. Jungles are thick. It's full of prehistoric dangers. Allosaurus stalks the jungle. Quetzalcoatlus rules the skies. Therizinosaurus moves silently among the trees. Every roar, every shadow is a test of patience, instinct, and courage.
Oh shit, they got
If
micro
you
reference?
want to become a hardened dinosaur hunter, this is the place for you.
That is a very specific design for Parasaurolophus that I recognize from a very specific thing.
Gear up, follow tracks, harvest magnificent trophies for your hunting lodge.
Yeah, no, let's get
And remember, you don't just hunt for fun on Tenebris.
You can actually get better.
You hunt.
Oh, wait, no, I saw Big Red.
Gear up, magnificent trophies for your hunting.
Must see Big
You
Red.
hunt to
Big Red!
survive.
Holy shit, that's a Big Red. Ha ha. Nice. I already have Jurassic Park World. And I could get JWE 3. Or, did I say Jurassic Park World? I meant Jurassic World Evolution 2. And I could get Jurassic World Evolution 3, but low key, I kind of like. What? No way! Oh shit! They have babies and stuff in here too. Yeah, what's the point of Jurassic World Evolution 3 if... Dog, they got American lions in this bitch? Russian unicorns! I know they're rhinos. They're woolly rhinos, I know. It's a Caracodontosaurus if I ever saw one. It's a Rhinosaurus, isn't it? Ooh, that's a pretty Dilo. Californian redwoods. Dude. All I want to do is write dinosaur stuff all day now. Honestly, I would love to just have some, like, dino assets and just animate a dinosaur show. Yeah, I would fucking love that. Ooh, he's pretty. Ooh, Dinosaurus. Love that. Oh, shit, it was right there. Of course. I love that 2 is still 60 bucks.
It all started with an idea.
See, this shit ain't worth it. See, not when compared to Prehistoric Planet, because Prehistoric Planet has all of this shit. But it has it more accurate. So I don't really care about this at all. So cute.
Welcome to the Dinosaur Integration Network, or DIN for short.
The little baby Mosey. Look at you, you're so cute. Oh my god.
Our organization brings groundbreaking, sustainable breeding programs to a global clientele of demanding site owners. We are taking paleo curation into exciting new territory. Where previous pioneers exclusively synthesized female dinosaurs, we are also creating males. These animals aren't assets to us, but the beginning of a new evolution.
So cool. Also, he's insane.
And do keep an eye on the young dinosaurs. They can inherit more than just appearances.
Oh, they have learned behavior traits?
Every site must be a perfect balance of security and spectacle.
Like how learned?
Protecting our guests is crucial, but so is inspiring the next generation.
Whoa! Yes! Oh!
As with any
Dude, the environment customization is really good in this one.
project of this scale, not everything will go according to plan. As the park manager,
Obviously, I haven't played it, but it looks really good. So far. Boy, if you don't press... Boy, I am pressing play. You gon' play. What? Okay, I guess it's the end of that. Prehistoric Kingdom it is. You didn't see anything. I forgot I was downloading this already. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, where winds be, samurai stuff, ooh, ooh. Yeah, 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 baby. Actually, I should probably double check. So this just came out like 4 days ago. I might do a separate stream for that, honestly.
Species would realize it wasn't entirely the top dog. Its real test would arrive in the form of the African bush elephant. Herds of these giants would be unlike anything the Spinosaurus had ever seen. Strange appendages, tusks, and loud noises. But the Spinosaurus itself would present the unknown. Never had an elephant seen a predator larger than itself. When conflict would occur between these two, no matter the aggressor, would result in an interesting interaction. Smaller or isolated individuals, especially the sick or young, might pique the interest of a Spinosaurus, particularly if they wandered near a waterway. However, challenging a herd or challenging a full-grown 10-ton bull elephant would be a grave mistake. The sheer size, strength, and speed of an African elephant could end up overwhelming the Spinosaurus, whose build was more suited for the aquatic realm. I mean, I would
That's true.
understand if people would argue otherwise, but I think a fully grown 10-ton elephant would be more than capable of defending itself and even defeating an adult Spinosaurus.
I mean, it's a fucking elephant, dude. I mean, they're like as smart as people. They come with big ass weapons, and they're also really big.
Of its mass and charging speed. Over time though, the Spinosaurs would learn to respect the elephant's dominance on land, keeping its distance and only hunting them if desperate or if a sick individual became available. If populations stabilized, the Spinosaurus might even become a keystone species. Its hunting would keep large fish populations in balance and its movements shaping river ecosystems. However, its success would depend heavily on water availability and prey density. In times of drought or reduced river flows, Spinosaurs would be forced to travel great distances to find suitable habitats, and smaller or weaker individuals may not survive this transition. Hatchling or young Spinosaurids would be a constant risk from being taken out by just about every single creature that roamed Africa. Lizards would invade nests, crocs would snap them from the water, lions and other predatory mammals would eliminate them to reduce competition, and rhinos, elephants and hippos would take their pick. Spinosaur parents would likely have to be extra vigilant at this stage in life, as although dinosaurs were used to mammals raiding nests, this would be an entirely different ballpark. In essence, the Spinosaurus could carve out a solid niche within modern-day Africa, especially in the wetter regions. Its specialized anatomy would still serve it well in a world of
Yeah, okay. So basically, Spinosaurus would have been fine. Or as fine as any other animal in a...
So scientists dug up a chicken-sized dinosaur this year, and it's basically the oldest thing with legs in North America, which is cool, I guess. But then they also found one that only exists because someone took a photo of it before it got blown up in World War II. These are some of the coolest dinosaurs that we discovered this year. So there's this thing called a vatum, and it's about the size of a chicken, which sounds disappointing until you realize it's the oldest dinosaur that we've ever found in North America. And it lived 230 million years ago when Wyoming was basically at the equator. Now, here's the thing about this dinosaur.
Hey, Wyoming, that's where you're at. No, I'm not getting fucking Arc Raiders for both of us right now. And you know, if anything, you should be buying Arc Raiders for both of us. Fuck you. What are you talking about? Little shit.
Had a long tail, walked on two legs, and probably ate whatever it could find. Plants, bugs, maybe small lizards if it got lucky.
Goofy.
Scientists think it was an omnivore, which just means it wasn't picky. Honestly, when you're the size of prehistoric chicken wings, everything else around you wants to eat you, being picky seems like a bad strategy. The reason we didn't find this thing earlier is because dinosaurs weren't supposed to be up in North America this early. Everyone thought they started in South America and took their time getting north. But Albateum was just hanging out in Wyoming millions of years before it was supposed to be possible, which throws off a bunch of timelines people spent years working on. So that's fun for them. It lived during this period called the Carnian Pluvial episode, which is a fancy way of saying it rained a lot and everything got wet. Before that, Wyoming was a desert. After the rains came, ferns and plants showed up, and dinosaurs followed. Albateum was one of the first to show up and apparently decided to stay. The fossils they've found include bones from its legs and spine, which is how they figured out it walked on two legs and had a really long tail for balance. probably spent most of its time running away from things, because back then there were these giant crocodile-looking predators called Rosashishians that would absolutely eat a chicken-sized dinosaur without thinking twice. And if it wasn't them, there were big amphibians in water that would do the same thing. So yeah, being small and fast was pretty much Avateum's whole survival plan, and somehow it worked long enough for us to find its bones 230 million years later. But now let's talk about the dinosaur that we found that uses its skull as a weapon. There's this one from Mongolia called
You mean a pachycephalosaur?
Dinosaur without thinking twice. It's called Rosashishians that would absolutely eat a chicken-sized dinosaur without thinking twice. And if it wasn't them, there were big amphibians in water that would do the same thing. So yeah, being small and fast was pretty much Avateum's whole survival plan, and somehow it worked long enough for us to find its bones 230 million years later. But now let's talk about the dinosaur that we found that uses these new dinosaurs. They always have super complicated names. This one's from Mongolia, and it's called Zavasafail, which means beginning head. And that's because
beginning head. That starter head, bro. It's that starter head dino.
because it's the oldest dome-headed dinosaur scientists have ever found. These dinosaurs are called pachycephalosaurs, and their whole thing...
Did you just pronounce the CH in Pachycephalosaurus? No. No, I'm not watching this video anymore. No, I'm not doing it. Yes, I am.
Was having thick skulls.
Pain.
Huh,
He
my
said
parents
patchy.
must think I'm a
Why?
pachycephalosaur.
Stop saying patchy. It's not a fucking Apache helicopter, motherfucker. It's a goddamn dinosaur. Fuck! It's Packy! What are you talking about?
8 million years ago and was tiny. In fact, it was less than a meter long, but it already had a thick dome on its head surrounded by bumpy ridges. And the running theory is that these dinosaurs would smash their heads into each other to figure out who was in charge or who got to mate or whatever. Which seems like a terrible idea, but they did it anyway, and honestly, humans are doing it today still, so not much has changed. Now, the cool part about this discovery is that they found an almost complete skeleton, which never happens with these dinosaurs. Usually you get a skull cap and maybe a leg bone if you're lucky, but with this one, they got hands, tailbones, and even these small rocks inside where its stomach would have been. Those rocks are called gastroliths, and dinosaurs would swallow them to help grind up food in their guts since they couldn't chew very well. So this little dinosaur was just out walking around with a belly full of rocks, headbutting its friends, eating plants, living its best life.
That just sounds like everybody's 20s.
Guess. The crazy thing is that this discovery pushed back the Pachycephalosaur timeline by 15 million years. For this, scientists thought dome-headed dinosaurs didn't show up until way later, but Zavasail was already doing the whole headbutting routine in the early Cretaceous, hanging out near lakes in what's now the Gobi Desert. It probably lived in groups, and when...
You know what really sucks is that every time a new dinosaur comes from Asia, I have to doubt whether or not it's real. Not because I think people misidentified an animal, but because I have to question whether that government is lying in order to make itself look better. It's really annoying.
Predators showed up, it could ram them in the legs and just run away. Either way, its thick skull gave it options. And the fact that even juveniles had thick skulls means that they were probably sparring from a young age, which sounds exhausting, but apparently worked.
Man, I really almost fucking died earlier. That is really lucky.
Because these dinosaurs stuck around for tens of billions of years after Zavasail got the whole thing started. But now let's move on to the dinosaur that we only know about because a photo of it exists. So scientists named a new dinosaur this year called the Tamiraptor. The weird part, the actual skeleton doesn't exist anymore. Here's what happened. Back in the early 1900s, a paleontologist named Ernst Stromer was digging around Egypt and found a bunch of dinosaur bones in the Bahariya Formation. He took photos, wrote notes, and shipped the fossils back to the museum.
And then it got bombed in Britain in World War II and destroyed everything.
Munich. Then World War II.
Everybody knows that story. Well, I would hope everybody knows that story. It's a classic dinosaur story.
Happened, and in 1944 the museum got bombed. Everything inside got destroyed, including all of Stromer's dinosaur fossils. Fast forward to 2025, and paleontologists went back through Stromer's old photos and notes and realized one of the dinosaurs he had found was actually a species no one had named yet. So they called it the Tamir raptor, which means Egyptian predator. And now we have a dinosaur that only exists in black and white photographs from over a century ago. From what they could tell from the photos, Tamir raptor was huge, about 10 feet long in fact, which is roughly 33 feet. It had a short snout, blade-shaped feet long. Ago. From what they could tell from the photos, Tamir raptor was huge, about 10 feet long in fact, which is roughly 33 feet.
So 10 feet is 33 feet now. Really?
Had a short snout, blade-shaped teeth, and a little horn on its nose. It also had tiny arms that probably didn't do much, but it didn't need them because its jaws did all of the work. This thing lived around 95 million years ago when Egypt wasn't a desert. It was a coastal swamp full of mangroves and rivers leading into the ocean. There were giant fish, crocodiles the size of
that was pretty.
Swamp full of mangroves and rivers leading into the ocean. There were giant fish.
I do not think about that. They could 100% have had multicolored sails that weren't with the rest of the body and could just be any exotic color that they wanted. I did not consider that. I'm a fucking idiot.
Fish, crocodiles the size of buses, and huge sauropods wandering around. And Tamir raptor was at the top, hunting whatever it could catch. The researchers think it probably ambushed prey, hiding in the thick vegetation, and then lunging out with its powerful jaws. And because its teeth were serrated, it could slice through meat and cause massive bleeding. The whole situation is kind of ridiculous. We have a 33-foot predator that ruled Egypt's swamps, and the only proof that it ever existed is a handful of grainy photos and some handwritten notes that survived a bombing. Now, moving on, let's talk about a dinosaur that's famous for its hands. Vitosaura had arms, technically, but they were so small and useless that it honestly would have been better.
So it's like a Majungasaur. It's what are they called again? I forget what they're called. But it's the same kind of dinosaur as a Majungasaurus.
Didn't have them at all. This dinosaur was an ableist.
Yeah, those.
Ablesauridae, which is a family of predators that all decided arms were overrated and basically stopped using them. Think like a Carno. Little stubby arms, I can't do anything. Same group. Vitosaura was about 5 meters long. It had a big skull.
It's funny that he thought of Carnotaurus first, and my first instinct was Majungasaurus. That's weird. Because a Belisaurid
with bumps and ridges
a belly boy,
and these little T-Rex arms that couldn't reach its own.
They weren't even
face.
T-Rex arms, man. T-Rex arms are like bigger than human arms. They're just small on a T-Rex because T-Rexes are fucking huge. That motherfucker has wrists and hands. He doesn't have arms.
Despite all of that,
I
it was the
refuse
top
to consider
predator in
arms.
its area. It lived in Argentina about 80 million years ago.
There's a difference between what a Belisaurid had and what a T-Rex had, because a T-Rex could curl 400 pounds in each hand if it wanted to. And that's without working out. I mean, come on, working as if like a T-Rex would fucking just start pumping iron.
Place that's now La Rioja province, but back then it was a semi-dry plain with some wetlands scattered around. It wasn't the lush jungle that you would have expected. It was more dusty and open, with patches of trees here and there. And Vitosaura would just post up near water sources and wait for something to walk by, because that was its whole hunting strategy, ambush. It wasn't built for long chases. It was built for one big violent sprint and then clamping down with its jaws. And its jaws could deliver serious damage because abelisaurids had wide skulls and teeth designed for ripping. So Vitosaura would hide, wait for a young titanosaur or some other herbivore to get close, and then charge out and bite down. The arms did not help with any of this. They were just there, hanging off its shoulders, doing absolutely nothing. Scientists think the skull decorations might have been for fighting other vitosaurs, because they show signs of damage that looks like head-shoving contests. So these things were headbutting each other while their arms just flopped around uselessly. What's interesting is that this discovery extended the range of abelisaurids into northwestern Argentina, which wasn't known for any big predators before.
Does he just pronounce everything weird? What the fuck pronounces Argentina Argentinia? Like, do you say Canada, motherfucker? Like, what is happening with it? I have a big head and tiny arms. I love Meet the Robinsons.
And it shows that even in harsher, drier environments away from the coast, that these dinosaurs figured out how to survive. They just sat by shrinking water holes during dry seasons and picked off whatever showed up thirsty. It was efficient, kind of brutal, and it worked fine without functional arms. Let's move on to the dinosaur, though, that had its bones fused together. Charocesus had jaw bones that were fused together.
Little Mondaysaurus.
That had its bones fused together.
Look at him, he looks so just like, he does not, look at that. Bro, Homeboy does not want to be here.
Charocesus had jaw bones.
He's so grumpy.
That were fused together. And before you ask, no, that is not normal. Most dinosaurs had jaw bones that moved independently and gave them flexibility when chewing, but Charocesus had its cheekbone fused directly to its upper jawbone, which locked everything in place and made its bite way stronger. It's the only iguanodontian we've found with this feature, and scientists think it evolved this way so it could eat really tough plants that other dinosaurs couldn't handle. Basically, this thing was chomping redwoods. That's a joke. I don't think it was, but this thing was from Portugal about 125 million years ago, and it was roughly 6 to 8 meters long. It walked on all fours most of the time, but could rear up on 2 legs if it needed to run or reach higher plants. Its whole deal was eating stuff other dinosaurs avoided. Hard seeds, woody fruits, tough twigs. The kind of plants that would break your jaw if it wasn't reinforced. Charocesus lived in a swampy coastal area full of lagoons and channels. It shared space with crocodiles, early mammals, and other plant eaters.
Damn it. It's happening again.
But the fused jaw gave it an advantage because it could eat food no one else wanted. During dry seasons when softer plants died off, Charocesus could switch to tougher stuff and be completely fine. It also had a thumb spike, which was common for iguanodontians. So if a predator came out...
Also, I didn't know iguanodontians were called iguanodontians. I also didn't know there was more than one species of iguanodon. Did not know that. How the fuck did I not know that?
Fine. It also had a thumb spike, which was common for...
Oh, wait, Oranosaurus is a freaking iguanodon? Camptosaurus is an iguanodon? What? Fukisaurus makes sense, actually. Does look really iguanodon-y. I thought...
So if a predator came after it, Charocesus could stab it with its thumb or deliver a strong bite if it had to. The fused jaw wasn't just for eating. It made the whole skull more solid, which probably helped in defense too. Basically, this dinosaur took a design flaw and turned it into its main survival tool, which is honestly kind of impressive.
Alright, I'm outing myself as an Isle fan, but I love Shants. Shants are so fucking cool.
But now let's talk about the duck-billed dinosaur
Eddies are awesome.
with a tail that nobody understands. Teleta was a hadrosaur from Morocco, and its tail bones just don't make any sense. Hadrosaurs are the duck-billed dinosaurs. They're usually pretty standard, big plant eaters with flat snouts and hundreds of teeth for grinding up vegetation. But Teleta had tail bones that were smooth on the front side, which is a feature scientists had only ever seen before in South American titanosaurs. And those aren't even close to being related to hadrosaurs, so no one knows why Teleta's tail evolved this way or what it was for. This dinosaur was small for a hadrosaur too. It was only about 4 to 5 meters long, roughly the size of a cow. It lived right at the end of the Cretaceous, about 66 million years ago in what is now Morocco. And here's where it gets interesting. Teleta wasn't alone. There were 3 different species of duck-billed dinosaurs all living in the same area at the same time. That is weird because usually when you would have 3 similar species in one place, they'd compete and drive each other out. But these 3 seem to have figured out a system. Teleta probably ate different plants than the other 2, maybe softer aquatic plants near lakes, while the others ate shrubs or conifer needles. That way they could all coexist without starving each other out. That environment was a coastal floodplain that got flooded by shallow seas every now and then. Teleta's bones were found in phosphate deposits right at the boundary layer where the dinosaurs went extinct. So this thing was living right up until the end. Scientists named it Teleta because it means third in Arabic, since it was...
Wait, what? Teleta?
Right up until the
Teleta
end.
means third in Arabic?
Named it
What?
Teleta
I'm learning so much shit today. Holy crap.
because it means third in Arabic, since it was the third duckbill found in that region, and the tail thing is still a mystery. Maybe it helped the swimming, maybe it was for display, maybe it was just a random mutation that stuck around. Either way, Teleta had one of the strangest tails of any hadrosaur ever found. We still don't really know why. Now let's move on to the next dinosaur, which is called the walking tank. Tianzhenosaurus changi was an ankylosaur, which means it was basically a fortress with legs. This thing was about 5 meters long and covered in bony plates from head to tail. Its skull had thick armor, its back had rows of fused bone, and its sides had spikes sticking out. Its tail ended in a massive club made of solid bone. And if something tried to attack it, Tianzhenosaurus could swing that club sideways and shatter bones. It lived in China about 80 to 75 million years ago in an area that had rivers and floodplains. It spent most of its time eating low plants because its head was built for grazing close.
Man, I am a lot busier today than I thought I was gonna be.
To the ground. It walked on 4 legs, and it was slow and heavy. Probably didn't move much unless it had to. And honestly, when you're that well protected, you don't need to move fast. What makes this discovery really interesting is that scientists found 2 different species of Tianzhenosaurus at the exact same spot. The first one was named back in the 1990s. The second one just got named this year, and both of them lived in the same formation, which means that they were either separated by time or they ate different plants and avoided each other. Either way, it shows that ankylosaurs in China were more diverse than people had thought. Tianzhenosaurus shared its habitat with.
Yeah, but ankylosaurs were always a super diverse group because they're so like fucking untouchable that they had all the room in the world to breed out and to explore, essentially. Like the frickin' Eldar from Warhammer.
Hadrosaurs and probably some tyrannosaurs. And the tyrannosaurs were the only real threat. But even then, attacking an ankylosaur was a bad idea. If Tianzhenosaurus hunkered down and tucked its legs under its body, there was nothing to bite, just armor. And if that tyrannosaur got too close, one swing from that tail club could break a leg or crack ribs. The tail club was huge too. It was big enough to do real damage. So Tianzhenosaurus didn't need speed or claws or teeth. It just needed to stand there and wait for predators to make a mistake. And based on the fact that ankylosaurs thrived for millions of years, that strategy probably worked. Neck. Muddafu was one of those in-between dinosaurs that was still figuring things out. It had a long neck and a long tail, which makes it sound like a sauropod, but it walked on 2 legs most of the time, which sauropods definitely didn't do. And sometimes it walked on 4 legs, which early sauropods could do, but really didn't prefer. So Muddafu was in this awkward transition phase where it hadn't fully committed to being huge yet. This dinosaur lived in Zimbabwe 210 million years ago during the late Triassic, and it's
Zimbabwe, really?
only the 4th dinosaur ever found there. The fossil enough to tell them used hip and weighed around 400 kilograms. It stood about 1.5 meters tall at the hip and weighed around 400 kilograms. So it wasn't massive, but it's not really small either. And it probably ate ferns, seed plants, and whatever greenery near an ancient seasonal flooding. Muddafu shared space with giant amphibians, early crocodile relatives, and other creatures that were still trying to fit in. Hence Muddafu. And that's what makes Muddafu important. It shows that sauropods started in Africa too, not just South America or India. And it fills in a gap in the timeline because before this, scientists didn't have much from this part of Africa during the Triassic. Muddafu probably traveled in small groups for safety because there were big predators around that would definitely eat a 400 kilogram dinosaur if they got a chance. And its strong back legs meant it could run when it needed to, which was probably often. But now let's move on to the new dinosaur we found this year that we've nicknamed the Cretaceous cow. Oshicelasaurus dinosaur we found this year definitely eat a 400 kilogram dinosaur really often. But now let's move on to the next was massive. It was 10 to 12 meters long and weighed around 8 to 9 tons. A swampy coastal area with New Mexico, 12 meters long and weighed around 8 to 9 tons. It was a hadrosaur from New Mexico about 75 years ago, and it lived in a swampy coastal area.
America, fuck yeah!
And its whole job was eaten. It just ate constantly. It had a wide, flat snout that worked for cropping plants and hundreds of teeth in the back of its mouth arranged in tight rows for grinding everything into pulp. This thing walked on 4 legs most of the time because it was too heavy to walk on 2 for very long, but it could stand up on its back legs if it needed to reach higher plants or run from something. It probably lived in big herds because that's what hadrosaurs did, safety in numbers. When you're a group of 50 Ashishosaurus, a predator has to pick one, and statistically, it probably won't be you, right? The local predator was Bistahevosaurus, a tyrannosaur about 9 meters long that lived in the same area, and Bistahevosaurus definitely hunted Ashishosaurus because that was the biggest prey item available. But a full-grown Ashishosaurus wasn't easy to take down. It was too big, too heavy, and if it was in a herd, the adults could circle around the young ones and form a defensive wall. Scientists have been finding bones from this dinosaur for over a century, but they only just named it as a new species this year. Turns out it had unique features in its skull that made it different from other hadrosaurs, so it got split off into its own genus. A Shishilosaurus spent its days wandering along river valleys, stripping plants, and trying not to get eaten. And because it ate so much plant matter, it was a huge part of keeping the ecosystem balanced when you like everything. And it's the adapt around it. But now let's move on to the next dinosaur we're going to talk about, Titan. And it's the only dinosaur in this video that had bones found in 2 different states at once. They found fossils in Utah and fossils in Texas, which means this thing was walking around 1,000 miles between the two. And we're not talking about a small dinosaur here. This was 12 meters long, roughly 40 feet, and weighed somewhere between 5 and 8 tons. So it was covering serious ground. It was a titanosaur, which is a type of long-necked sauropod. And what made it different from other sauropods is that it had armor. Not full plates, but just small chunks of bone embedded in its skin called osteoderms. And predators are trying to figure out of Utah. And the species name is Zelagaimondidewea, which is the paleontologist's grandmother's name, and very hard to say, so my apologies if that doesn't sound correct. But in shorthand, this 40-foot armored dinosaur is
cannot believe that one. I swear to God, I swear to God, I swear to God. Huh.
Years ago, which means it was one of the last dinosaurs walking around before everything ended. It lived in a subtropical area with swamps and river valleys, and it spent its time eating plants and moving between Utah and Texas depending on the season or food availability. It traveled in herds because that's what the threat was tyrannosaurs, but full-grown Titans were big enough that attacking one was risky.
No, wait, video.
And if a tyrannosaur went after a young one, big enough that attacking one was risky. The armor helped too, and if a tyrannosaur went after a young one, adults could circle around and use their tails to defend. So, Titan made it all the way to the end of the Cretaceous, traveling between states, covered in armor, and then the asteroid hit, and that was that. And those are some of the craziest dinosaurs that we have found this year. Honestly, there are so many dinosaurs found this year that I could make tons
Alright, I know I made fun of him a couple times. This is actually good shit. Like and subscribe to him. Blah. Like and subscribe to this channel. Dude has good stuff. Dude has more stuff. Oh no! Wait, what?
So
I thought that was just a meme. I thought that was a fucking prehistory meme. Were we really slime? I mean, I guess that makes sense, but like, weird. Okay. I need a second. Give me 1 second. Alright. I need to get my blood pumping. So we're going to do some reps. We're going to do some reps. Alright. Not a whole bunch, not enough to break a sweat. Just keep me from fucking falling asleep. Like, holy shit. How am I falling asleep?
Oh, there was this period in Earth's history where the entire ocean floor was just covered in slime. Like, actually,
I mean, I didn't go to sleep until 8 o'clock and got woken up at like 10, but other than that, I mean, that's not abnormal for me. I shouldn't be falling asleep right now.
covered in this thick bacterial goo. And somehow...
Yes! Yes, I'm squatting on stream. That is something I do. I do exercises and stuff on stream. I remember I did a 6-hour stream when I was doing exercises for 6 hours straight. Ugh. Like, I needed to take a few days to recover from that, and I'm actually going to do another one of those soon. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. Probably tomorrow morning, to be honest. I'll probably do it with Wise Man. Oh, God. Oh, God. If I do that with Wise Man, he's going to try to make me crash into shit. He's going to spend the entire time trying to knock me around. That'll actually be pretty fun. Yeah.
This was a perfectly functioning ecosystem. For about 100 million years, life looked
get
at this carpet
good.
of
Fuck
bacteria
you.
and said, yeah, let's build everything on top of this. The creatures living in it looked like nothing alive today. There was flat pancake things, weird fronds, stuff with three-way symmetry, and then it all just collapsed. This is the story of the rise and the fall of the Age of Slime. Look, we're going back 635 million years. Earth had just finished being completely back 630.
What?
5 million.
Whoa. Well, I do not recognize these two motherfuckers. Those are states. What the hell are you talking about?
Years. Earth had just finished being completely frozen, and I don't just mean it was cold. I mean the entire planet was ice. Oceans frozen solid, glaciers covering everything. They call this Snowball Earth, which sounds cute, but it was objectively the worst thing that ever.
Damn, that smells like I ate a dinosaur. Holy shit. Damn. Whew. That is a bad one.
Happened. Most life just died. The stuff that survived was hiding in tiny pockets near volcanic vents or deep in the ocean where things weren't completely frozen. But around 635 billion years ago, something changed. The ice started melting. The glaciers pulled back, and suddenly you had oceans again. The end of this freeze is marked in rocks by something called cap carbonates, which is just a fancy way of saying there's this weird layer of limestone that forms when glaciers melt super fast. Geologists love this stuff because it shows up everywhere at the same time, which means the melting was global. So now you've got a planet that went from frozen wasteland to tropical nightmare in what's probably a pretty short time span. The climate swung hard in the other direction. No more ice meant the sun could actually heat things up again, so temperatures rose. Rain started falling on land that hadn't seen rain in millions of years, and the oceans filled back up with water that could support life. But here's where it gets interesting. The oceans weren't just wet again, they were different. The chemistry had changed. Oxygen started building up in the water in amounts Earth had never seen before. Before this, the ocean had some oxygen near the surface where bacteria were doing photosynthesis, but the deep water was basically dead. There was no oxygen down there at all, but after the thaw, oxygen started spreading. More of it deeper down everywhere. Scientists can track this because of something called the Shurem excursion, which is the most dramatic chemical shift in Earth's entire history. The carbon isotopes in rocks from this time go completely haywire. The short version is that a massive amount of organic material in the ocean got oxidized. Basically, all of this dead stuff reacted with oxygen and got broken down. This tells us oxygen levels were spiking hard, and oxygen matters because it is fuel. You need
That's so weird.
oxygen to
That's super freaky. That was like, it went from ice to oceans and tropical shit, but for some reason, there's a bunch of organic material that just... No.
build
That's
big
spooky.
bodies
I don't know.
and
Sounds
actually
spooky to
move
me.
around and do things. Without it, life stays small and boring. So you've got warming oceans, oxygen flooding in, and on top of that, the continents were moving around. The old supercontinent, Rodinia, was breaking apart. Chunks of land were drifting away from each other. This created more coastlines and shallow seas, which are perfect spots for life to thrive. Eventually, these pieces would come back together into a new supercontinent called Gondwana, but that took a while. For now, things were spreading out. And then, because Earth can't just let things be nice, a giant meteor hit. Around 580 million years ago, something slammed into what's now South Australia and left a crater over 30 kilometers wide. The Ackerman impact. The blast would have been huge. Tsunamis, fires, debris in the atmosphere blocking sunlight. Locally, it was a disaster. Globally, it might have even triggered a brief cold snap, but life kept going. It had survived worse, and life always finds a way. By this point, the stage was set. You had warm oceans, lots of oxygen, and shallow seas along coastlines, an environment that was finally stable enough for life to try something new. For billions of years before this, life had been mostly microscopic. It was single cells floating around, and occasionally some cells would clump together into little films or mats, but nothing you could see without a microscope. But now conditions were perfect for something bigger, and what happened next wasn't some dramatic explosion of fish or reptiles or anything that we would ever recognize. What happened was bacteria. Just an absurdly stupid amount of bacteria covering everything, which brings us to the name Age of
It's really gross.
Slime. The stuff covering the sea
I mean, that's what I figured it was, but that's still gross.
floor
Like, ew.
wasn't just random gunk. It was organized. These were microbial mats, which are basically sheets of bacteria and algae all stuck together. Microbes grow on a surface and then sticky slime that glues them into a carpet. If you've ever
It's so gross. Ew. So is this big ass mold spasm? No, I'm not throwing up. No. I'm not throwing up at the booger era. No, I'm not.
on a muddy beach and felt that slippery film under your feet, that's a microbial mat. It's a small scale, but it's the same idea. In the Ediacaran period, these mats were everywhere, and I mean everywhere. The entire ocean floor in shallow areas was covered. No bare sediment, just this thick bacterial layer sitting on top of the mud. They'd grow dense and cohesive, sometimes several centimeters.
Oh! Oh! No! Okay.
Thick. The bacteria at the top would photosynthesize during the day, making oxygen, and the ones underneath would digest dead material and organic matter. It was a whole system. We know these mats existed. Now you might be thinking, well, how do we know any of this? This sounds like a lot of science fiction. Well, we know these mats existed because the rocks from this time have these weird textures. Geologists call them elephant skin textures, which is actually a good description for once. The rock surface is wrinkled and bumpy in this very specific pattern that only forms of microbial mats dry out or get buried. You see these textures in Ediacaran.
Buried. Gotta wait for me to get buried. Buried.
And rocks from all over the world. Australia, Namibia, Russia, Canada, everywhere life existed, there were mats. The reason these mats could get so widespread is because nothing was stopping them.
Sorry, I immediately get some ice cream inside of me. The sudden cold is making me feel less nauseous.
In modern oceans, mats get destroyed constantly.
Give me chills, bro.
Snails scrape them up, worms burrow through them, fish poke around.
Oh, what is that thing?
Snails scrape them up, worms burrow.
Oh! Oh! No! 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 No. Gross.
Through them, fish poke around and tear them apart. But in the Ediacaran, none of that existed yet. There were no snails, no worms, and no fish at all. The mats just grew undisturbed. And this created something really important. The sticky slime from the bacteria glued sediment particles together. It made the seafloor firm and stable. Normally, underwater sediment is loose and shifts around with currents. But when you've got a mat holding it down, it stays put. This matters because it meant the seafloor wasn't just mud soup. It was solid ground, so things could sit on it, attach to it, and live on it. The mats also became a food source. They were full of bacteria, which meant
So this is probably where insects and snails and shit came from. Is the
nutrients. Lots of organic
I mean,
material
this is where everything came from, obviously, but like
sitting there waiting to be
this is like why.
eaten. And since the mats were everywhere, food was everywhere. You didn't have to hunt or search. You just existed on top of this buffet. But here's the other thing mats did. And this is actually the main reason we know so much about Edicarian life. They preserved things. When something died on a microbial mat, the bacteria would keep growing and kind of seal over it. The slime would fill in the details of the body. Then, if the sediment suddenly buried it, which happened during storms, you'd get this perfect impression. The mat would hold the shape while minerals precipitated and turned it into rock. Paleontologists have a term for this. They call it the death mask hypothesis. The idea is that the microbial mat acts as a mold, capturing the outline of dead organisms. Without mats, soft-bodied creatures basically never fossilize. They just rot away. But with mats, you get these detailed impressions showing texture and shape. This is why we have fossils of soft things from the Edicarian, but almost nowhere else in the rock record. The ocean chemistry helped too. Edicarian seas had high levels of dissolved silica because nothing was using it. There were no sponges pulling it up to make spicules, no diatoms building shells. So sometimes silica would precipitate rapidly around dead organisms and create these casts. Combined with the mat preservation, it meant even delicate structures could be preserved.
Hold that
so
like
you've got
a
the entire seafloor as a stable, firm, food-covered surface that also happens to preserve whatever lives on it. From a bacterial perspective, this is perfect. They've taken over. They're running the show. The mats are producing oxygen, cycling nutrients, and creating a habitat. They're the foundation of the whole ecosystem. And on top of this foundation, things started evolving. Things that make absolutely no sense. Because the slime didn't care. For millions of years, nothing could touch the mats. They just spread and grew and covered everything without any real competition. The reason for this is weirdly simple. Nothing had evolved yet to fight back. There were no grazers, no burrowers, no animals that could dig through sediment or scrape mats off rocks or tear them apart. The things that would normally keep bacterial mats in check just didn't exist. In modern oceans, microbial mats are honestly rare. They only survive in extreme environments where other life can't go. Super salty lakes, hot springs, the bottom of the ocean. Places too harsh for normal animals. But in the Edicarian, the whole ocean was an extreme environment by modern standards, just in reverse. It was too empty and too undisturbed. The perfect conditions for mats to take over. The mats had zero natural predators. You can eat them without the right equipment, and most bacteria aren't nutritious unless you can break down their cell walls. That requires specific digestive enzymes. The early creatures evolving on top of the mats didn't have those enzymes yet. They weren't equipped to eat bacteria directly, so the mats just sat there, untouchable, growing thicker. And because nothing was digging or burrowing, the seafloor stayed layered. There was no mixing. The mats on top, the sediment underneath, and everything in neat horizontal sheets. Geologists have a term for this kind of undisturbed sea floor. They call it a mat ground. Really clever. Before animals started churning sediment, the entire ocean floor was mat ground. It was firm, stable, and completely static. This stability changed everything. It meant organisms could anchor themselves and not worry about sinking into loose mud. The mats provided this solid base that nothing had to engineer or maintain. It was just there. It was free real estate for anything that could
free real estate
detach and grow upward. And that's exactly what happened. The early Edicarian creatures were sessile. That means that they didn't move. They stuck to one spot their whole lives. There were fronds attached to the mat with the holdfast. And
so like plants. So this is how plants came about. Went from algae to like leaves and shit and flowers and fungi and all that. And then that led to animals. Somehow
just stood there, filtering water. Discs sat flat on the surface and absorbed nutrients. Nothing was chasing them anyways.
Okay, the discs and stuff have to be where animals come from,
ecosystem ran at the speed of bacteria, which, to put it plainly, is very, very slow. Honestly, food chains were ridiculously simple. At the bottom, you had the mats producing organic material through photosynthesis or breaking down the dead stuff. Then you had organisms that either absorbed nutrients from the mats directly, filtering tiny particles from the water, or maybe they even grazed on the bacterial film. That was it. There were no predators hunting prey, no complex food webs, just a bunch of filter feeders and grazers sitting in slime. This sounds boring, and it probably was.
This is gross.
but it worked. The system was stable for tens of millions of years, and stable meant life could focus on experimenting with new body
What did you
plans
share with me?
without worrying about survival.
What? Why does who the fuck still owns a butter churner in 2025? What the hell?
There was no pressure to evolve weapons
Virus,
or armor or speed.
I don't understand you.
Just grow big, spread out, and absorb nutrients. Easy. Imagine if your life could be that easy. You don't have to deal with taxes or politics or any of that sort of stuff. All you have to do is grow big, spread out, and eat some nutrients. Sounds kind of peaceful when you put it that way, doesn't it? Oxygen levels helped too. The rise in oxygen meant organisms could afford to be large. Big bodies need lots of oxygen to function, and the Edicarian oceans were finally providing enough. Combined with the unlimited food from the
Can you imagine just a mega slug? This is like fucking 400 feet long.
mats and zero predation, you had perfect conditions for life to just get weird and big without consequences. Some scientists think the mats also acted as a buffer for waste products. Organisms sitting on mats could dump their metabolic waste, and the bacteria would break it down and recycle it. The mats were a self-cleaning habitat. You literally couldn't ask for a better setup if you were an early multicellular organism trying to figure out how to exist. The mat ecosystem even protected organisms from each other. Since nothing was mobile, there was no competition for space in the traditional sense. You grew where you landed. If you were a frond, you sprouted wherever your spore or seed or whatever landed on the mat. Everything just coexisted in this weirdly passive way. And here's the thing that's easy to miss. The mats weren't just habitat. They were the entire infrastructure of the ecosystem.
Remember,
the
I'm watching that
mats
stream.
and
Fuck it. I just got sent something, and now I'm gonna go watch it. Bing bong? What? What's happening? Is he really likes animating Baby No Money?
You're sticky like barbecue sauce. T shiny at it calling me Jaws. Got 100K cash in the ball. Fuck your gym to protect them dolls. She up on mine. We crunk off. She said, girl, I'm so you're sticky like
I love Baby No Money, he's so funny. No, I need my
I had a man pay me $20,000 to go to a Texas roadhouse with my butter churner.
Pause. Who the fuck still owns a butter churn? Like one of these?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this isn't fucking just Jamestown? I couldn't think of a Pilgrim thing. Like fucking what the hell?
Mormon or some shit? Sorry, moving on.
Butter churner. Go into the bathroom, set up the camera, take Texas Roadhouse butter and the butter churner, and stick it up my back door.
I mean, did you do it? Did you you got the 20K, right? It's time to go to Texas Roadhouse. Oh, he threw his phone at the window.
I had a man pay me $20,000.
I thought he was about to start driving. He did exactly what I would have done in that while watching that. I think I've done a video where I just did that. I think I've done a few videos where I watched it and I was like, nope. Woo! That's funny.
Everything else collapses. The organisms living on them weren't adapted to loose sediment or rocky surfaces. They were adapted specifically to bacterial film. Their holdfasts stuck to slime. Their feeding strategies relied on mat-produced nutrients. Their preservation in the fossil record depended on mat chemistry. The whole system was built on this one foundation. So when people call the Edicarian the age of slime, they're not exaggerating. The slime was running the show. It was the ground, the food source, the habitat, and the fossil preservative all at once. And every organism that evolved during this time was shaped by that reality.
Where's my bullet casing? Where did I put it? The hell? I'll find it in a minute.
They were slime creatures whether they liked it or not. But that stability came with a problem that nobody could have saw coming at the time. The stuff that evolved to live on the mats wasn't just weird, it was aggressively weird. These organisms looked like someone drew animals while having never seen an animal before. Nothing had eyes, nothing had mouths that you would even be able to recognize, and some didn't even have a clear front or back. They were just shapes. Dickinsonia is probably the most famous of these things. It looked like a ribbed oval pancake.
We all saw the sensor. You didn't need to put the sensor there. It's a fucking animal name. Come on.
Yeah, is probably the most famous of these things. It looked like a ribbed oval
Dickinsonia, I barely know her.
Cake lying flat on the sea floor. Some were tiny, a few centimeters, and other
20,000 isn't enough for you? 20,000 isn't enough to take a little bit of butter churn up your ass. It's not like he's asking you to get gang banged, bro. Also, it was, it depends. How long does it have to be up your ass? Do you just have to sit on it and like jump off and then go to the hospital, or do you have to like be there for a minute? That would be my question. Is like, how deep, how long? Yeah, no, but how deep? How long of a period of time, and like what are the conditions? Like you just say that you could easily just get like, how wide is a butter churner handle? Oh no. Oh no. No. That's wrong. Like, it's like a broomstick width, right? It looks like it's about broomstick width, so it's probably like, yeah, I would say it's about like cock size in terms of girth. Maybe thinner. I don't know. It looks like it has like a cockish girth to it. I'm also looking at pictures, and I don't know. That could, for all I know, that could be like 2 millimeters wide, or it could be like 14 inches wide. I wouldn't fucking know. Like, but it looks like it's just like a maybe a couple broomsticks. Yeah, no. If it's that wide, I mean, I don't know. Is it laminated? Am I gonna get wood? If I'm gonna get splinters, 20 grand is not enough. But if it's like a plastic handle and it's like that much, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, 20 grand is 20 grand, man.
Huge for something with no skeleton or shell. It had these repeating segments running across its body in a quilted pattern. And
also, we both know you're bullshitting on that too. We both know that's more than enough money for you. What are you talking about?
Scientists have argued for decades about what it even was. Plant? Fungus? Alien? Well, turns out it was actually an animal.
So yeah, that would be the only thing that would catch me. You have to laminate the shit out of that thing. You gotta wax that motherfucker.
Researchers found preserved fat molecules in a
Hey, that shit better have more wax on it than a fucking surfboard and Shark Week. Or after Shark Week, yeah. Like more than a surfboard after Shark Week. Yes, I know, splinters! Oh, right, there's a delay.
Dickinsonia fossil, specifically cholesterols that only animals can produce. So we know for sure that it was one of us, evolutionarily speaking. But knowing it was an animal doesn't make it less confusing. It had
that was one of us.
No head, no obvious organs,
Okay. What's it saying? No, the bitrate's getting low.
And probably moved by expanding and contracting its body to sort of ooze along the mat, grazing on bacteria as it went. Fossils show these oval impressions next to Dickinsonia bodies, which are feeding traces. It would sit on the mat, absorb, or scrape up nutrients, then move to a fresh spot. Repeat forever. Really, I kind of think of it as like a freaky snail. That's probably the best image I can put in your head. Charnia was completely different. This thing looked like a fern or a feather sticking up from the sea floor. It had a central stem with branching structures coming off the sides in a fractal pattern. It could grow over 1/2 meter tall, and it lived anchored to the mat by a disc-shaped holdfast, and it just stood there. No movement, no feeding behavior that anyone can currently identify. The best guess is that it absorbed dissolved nutrients from the water through its surface, which is a terrible way to get food that we know now, but apparently it worked fine for it. Charnia and its relatives are called is identify, and its guess is that it absorbed dissolved nutrients from the water through its surface, which is a terrible way to get food that we know now, but apparently it worked fine for it. Charnia and its relatives are called rangeomorphs, and they make up a huge chunk of early Edicarian fossils. They're all frond shaped with this weird branching pattern, and they dominated the deep water environments where sunlight couldn't reach. That means they definitely weren't photosynthetic. They were just sitting in the dark, soaking up whatever nutrients drifted by, and somehow this is enough to sustain bodies 1/2 meter long. The efficiency must have been terrible, but again, no predators, so who cares? Kimberella was one of the few things that looked remotely normal. It was shaped like an oval slug or a snail without a shell. It was a few centimeters long, and one end was wider and probably had a mouth with some kind of scraping tongue. We know this because fossils of Kimberella are found next to scratch marks on a matte surface, like something had been scraping back and forth. It was grazing, actively eating the bacterial film. This makes Kimberella one of the first known grazers.
Dude, it looks like a fucking... It looks like a pie with teeth for crust.
Probably an early relative to mollusks. It had a clear front and back, left and right. It actually had bilateral symmetry, which most animals today have, but most animals then didn't. So Kimberella was weirdly advanced compared to everything else around it. Then you've got Tribrachium, which decided 3-way symmetry was the way to go. It sat on the seafloor as a little disc with 3 spiral arms coming from the center.
That just looks like Mon Calamari money. That looks like flange.
Not 2, not 4.
Okay, I'm realizing what I'm saying now. Yeah.
3. Fun fact, but nothing alive today has 3-way symmetry. Some scientists think it swirled water along its arms to trap food particles, but nobody really knows. It's just sitting there in the fossil record, being geometrically wrong. Spergina looked like someone tried to draw a worm, but gave up half.
I've seen that one before. Did not know that's what that's called.
Way. It was
if you can't tell, I'm a big Cretaceous guy. Although I do really love the Permian period, just because I fucking love Gorgonopsids. Gorgonopsids are dope as shit. If you don't know what a Gorgonopsid is, it's basically it's a lizard saber-toothed cat. These bad boys. There's a mammal-like reptile. It was basically just the proto-saber-toothed tiger from the Permian period. And if you watch Primeval, you know what these motherfuckers look like. Dope as hell. You're a big boy. A little bit. Give us the sniffles, the sniffy snoofs. A classic Gorgonopsid drawing. Love it. I remember I made a Gorgonopsid animation when I was a kid. One of the first things I ever animated was a Gorgonopsid running. This thing's one of my favorite prehistoric animals. One of my favorite animals, period. They're so fucking cool.
Lizard segmented with a distinct head region and a tapered tail. It was a few centimeters long, and early researchers thought it might be related to arthropods because of the segments, but it had no legs or a hard exoskeleton. It probably crawled along the mat searching for food, making it one of the more mobile Edicarian creatures, which isn't really saying much since everything else was basically furniture. Around the very end of the Edicarian, things started getting skeletons. Claudina was a tiny tube-building organism that secreted a hard calcium carbonate shell. The tubes were just a few millimeters wide and stacked in a cone in pattern. Multiple Claudina individuals would cluster together and cement their tubes to each other, forming the first reefs ever built by animals. Before this, there were no reefs. I don't know why I thought worms. Multiple Claudina individuals would cluster together and cement their tubes to each other, forming the first reefs ever built by animals. Before this, there were no reefs, no structures, just flat mats. But Claudina started building upward, creating habitat complexity. And here is the important part. Some Claudina fossils have holes drilled into their shells. These are clean round holes that punch through the tube wall. That's a sign of predation. Something was attacking Claudina, boring into the shell to get at the soft animal inside. And this is the first direct evidence of a predator-prey relationship. Someone evolved the ability to break into shells.
That's
cool. They were using it. This peaceful garden.
So the first form of predation was shell cracking.
Namacalathus lived alongside Claudina in these late reefs. Looks like a goblet on a stick. A hollow ball with holes in it, mounted on a thin stalk. What it was doing or how it fed, nobody knows. But it had a skeleton, which is the only reason we know it existed at all. There were probably hundreds of other species that we'll never know about because they didn't get preserved. These were soft-bodied things that lived in the wrong place or died in the wrong conditions. The fossils we have are just the lucky ones that happened to die on a mat right before a sandstorm buried them. The real diversity was probably way higher. And then everything that made this world possible started falling apart. Because around 541 million years ago, everything went wrong at once. The Edicarian biota had been thriving for nearly 100 million years. The same basic setup, mats on the seafloor, weird creatures living on top of them, no predators, no problems. This could have gone on indefinitely. There was no reason to think it would stop, but it did stop, and when it collapsed, it happened fast enough that the fossil record basically shows a before and after with not much in between. The problem started with innovation. New types of organisms were evolving, and these ones had a different approach to life. They weren't content to sit on the mat and filter feed. They wanted to move, dig, burrow into the sediment, and this seems like a minor change, but it completely destroyed the foundation of the Edicarian world. Burrowing animals were
They're basically ripping everything apart. It's like literally ripping the carpet out.
Worst thing that could have happened to the mats. When something burrows, it mixes sediment. It churns the top layer with the bottom layer. It breaks up that nice, stable, layered structure and turns it into soup. And microbial mats cannot handle that. They need a firm surface to grow. Once the sediment is getting constantly mixed and turned over, the mats can't establish themselves. They get ripped apart. Geologists call this the Cambrian substrate revolution. Before it, the seafloor was mat ground, firm and stable. After it, the seafloor was mixed ground, loose and churned. And this shift happened over just a few million years.
Prehistoric Russia is what I want to watch next.
You can see in the rock record that sediments are full of burrow tunnels. Worms and worm-shaped things were digging everywhere. The mats were getting shredded. And once the mats were gone, everything that depended on them was in trouble. The fronds needed the mats as an anchor point. Without them, there was nowhere to attach. The disc-shaped grazers needed the mats as food. Without them, there was nothing to eat. The whole ecosystem was built on bacterial slime, and somebody just pulled the rug out. But burrowers weren't the only problem. Grazers were getting better at their jobs too. Early Edicarian grazers like Kimberella had scraped gently at the mat surface. They didn't destroy it, they just trimmed the top layer. But later grazers were more aggressive. Snail-type creatures with actual rasping tongues evolved, things that could tear into the mat and rip it up rather than gently scraping. Between the burrowers churning from below and grazers attacking from above, the mats didn't stand a chance. And then the predators showed up in numbers. We saw hints of predation at the end of the Edicarian
predation
with those drill holes in Claudina shells. But in the Cambrian, predation had become the default. Everything was either hunting or being hunted. Soft-bodied organisms that had spent millions of years doing nothing suddenly had to deal with things trying to eat them. The Edicarian creatures had no defenses. Dickinsonia was just lying there flat on the sea floor. You could walk up and bite it and it couldn't even do anything back to you. Charnia was stuck stuck in a place on a stalk. It was free protein, just standing there. Even the ones with shells like Claudina
Oh yeah, I guess they were kind of just like meat plants, huh?
were barely protected because their shells were thin and easy to break into, which is why we find them with holes drilled through. Natural selection during the Edicarian had been weirdly relaxed. There was no pressure to evolve speed or armor or weapons because again, there were no threats. Organisms could focus on growing big and absorbing nutrients efficiently. But as soon as the predators appeared, those priorities flipped. Now you need to either run away, hide, or fight back. And the Edicarian organisms couldn't do any of those things.
So
they were just sitting ducks. Competition got worse too. Edicarian life had been spread out and passive. Everyone just existed in their own spot without interfering with neighbors. But Cambrian animals were mobile and aggressive. They would actively push others out of good locations, fight over food, and outcompete slower organisms for resources. The Edicarian creatures weren't adapted for this kind of environment. They'd been living in a peaceful garden, and suddenly it turned into a war zone. There might have been environmental changes helping things along too. Some data suggests ocean chemistry shifted at the boundary between Edicarian and Cambrian. Carbon isotopes showed a disturbance in the carbon cycle, which could mean oxygen levels fluctuated or nutrient availability changed. If true, that would have added extra stress on top of the biological pressures, and the end result was a mass die-off. Most of the classic Edicarian forms just vanished from the fossil.
So basically, this is like the first instance of a mass extinction via hunting.
Record. The fronds disappear. The big flat discs disappear. The quilted mattress creatures disappear. By the early Cambrian, the fossil assemblages just look completely different. Instead of Dickinsonia and Charnia, you've got trilobites and early arthropods and shelly things strolling around. Some Edicarian lineages probably did survive by evolving into something unrecognizable. If Kimberella was related to mollusks, then its descendants might have been the Cambrian snails and shellfish, but the distinct body plans of the Edicarian mostly went extinct. Nature tried that experiment and then moved on. The really bleak part is how fast this all happened. There was 100 million years of stability, and then within maybe 10 million years, the whole system was gone. That is incredibly fast in geological time. It is fast enough that organisms couldn't adapt. They just died out and got replaced by animals that were better suited to the new violent world. Which raises an obvious question. Why does any of this matter? Why are we talking about slime? Well, here's the thing. The Edicarian period isn't just...
I mean, it's kind of important. It's where all of us came from. Where all of our environments came from too. I mean, like a lot of this shit is fundamental structuring for what we have today. I mean, we literally would not exist without this era.
Some obscure chapter in Earth's history that only geologists and like people that really care about like prehistoric animals care about. It's the origin story for complex life. Everything alive today, including you, traces back to organisms that evolved during or right after the Edicarian. Before this period, life was bacteria, just single cells floating around for billions of years. The Edicarian was when multicellular life figured out how to exist at scale, how to build bodies with different tissue types, how to move, how to interact with an environment. All of the basic tools that modern animals use were invented during the Edicarian. And the weirdness of the Edicarian organisms shows us something important. Evolution doesn't have a plan. It just tries things. Some of those things work and survive, and others fail and go extinct. The Edicarian was a period of experimentation when nature tried out body plans that never got repeated. Three-way symmetry, quilted structures, fractal fronds. None of that survived, but it demonstrates how flexible evolution can be when it's operating in open territory. The fact that most Edicarian creatures went extinct also tells us something. Success isn't permanent. You can dominate an ecosystem for 100 million years and still get wiped out when conditions change. The Edicarian biota was perfectly adapted to their environment, but that environment was temporary, and as soon as the mats disappeared and predators evolved, they were done. This is important because we're currently living through another period of rapid environmental change. Species that are well adapted to the current world might not survive if things shift too fast. The Edicarian extinction wasn't caused by an asteroid or a volcanic eruption. It was caused by new organisms changing the rules of the game. Competition and predation and ecosystem engineering. And once those changes started, there was no going back. Sound familiar? On a more practical level, studying the Edicarian helps us understand what early animal evolution looked like. Fossils from this period include some of the first bilaterians, the first shell builders, the first reefs, and the first predators. These are foundational innovations that led directly to the Cambrian explosion. Without the Ediacaran as a testing ground, the Cambrian might not have been possible. And finally, the preservation of Ediacaran fossils itself is a weird accident. We only know about these creatures because the microbial mats preserved them. Once the mats disappeared, that preservation window closed, and soft-bodied organisms from later periods almost never fossilize. So we have this unique picture of early animal life that we wouldn't have had without all of that slime. The Ediacarian was the age when Earth transitioned from microbial planet to an animal planet. The slime-covered seafloor was a bridge between those two worlds, and even though that bridge collapsed and most of the creatures living on it went extinct, their legacy is everything alive today. Evolution took the lessons learned in the slime and built the modern biosphere on top of it, which is honestly probably more credit than bacterial goo deserves, but here we are. It's a YouTube video. Anyway.
You know, it's funny. It's like, I actually, like, I kind of knew this, but I didn't really know all the details. Like, I don't know. I guess I just didn't know all the names of all the different things. I just didn't really give a fuck about that era. I really should
There's a
care
reason
more.
Russian paleontologists don't sleep well at night. It has nothing to do with politics. See, when you spend your days digging up fossils of creatures that make Godzilla look like a house pet, you start to realize that Mother Nature had some serious anger management issues back in the day. We're talking about the time where Russia was basically one giant horror movie set, complete with saber-toothed predators the size of cars, armored tanks with attitudes, and sea monsters that could swallow a school bus without chewing. And the truly disturbing part, these things were all neighbors. Here's what you need to know about prehistoric Russia. First off, forget everything you think you know about cold weather and snow. We're talking about a time when Russia was basically a giant oven with teeth. The whole place was hot, dry, and filled with things that wanted to eat you. Back in the Permian period, around 250 million years ago, Russia wasn't even Russia yet. It was stuck to this massive supercontinent called Pangaea. And let me tell you, the real estate was terrible. Picture vast deserts where the temperature could cook you during the day, then maybe drop just enough at night so that you could freeze to death instead. Fun times. The plants are weird too. No flowers, no grass, just these bizarre ferns and early trees that looked uncomfortable being alive. And the animals, well, they hadn't figured out how to be normal yet. Everything was either too big, too spiky, or too interested in turning other things into lunch. Then we get to the dinosaur times, and Russia decided to really show off. Climate got a bit nicer, which apparently was Asia's way of saying, let's see how big we can make these murder lizards. Even the Arctic parts of Russia were warm enough for dinosaurs to set up shop and start their own little nightmare communities. The seas weren't safe either. While all this land-based chaos was happening, the oceans around Russia were basically shark-infested swimming pools, except the sharks were the size of school buses and had way more teeth than anything has a right to have, because the real nightmare wasn't on land. Meet Pliosaurus.
And on that, do I want to end this stream right here? Because I'm like falling asleep and shit, and I might honestly take a nap, come back on, and play some samurai game. Is that finished downloading? I better have finished downloading. Are you fucking kidding me? This thing is only 48% complete. What the fuck? Okay. Do I want to save this big ass video for later? No.
Rossicus. And yeah, that skull really was the size of a refrigerator. Scientists found this thing near the Volga River.
Nope, wait. Actually, give me a second. Bathroom.
Hi.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened today.
Next
Oh.
time, don't be so vague, please. That's the most terrifying part of all of that is the vagueness.
Well, I was asked to
I know,
just...
but like the way you said it.
Okay. Your shelf got shot.
He knows.
Okay, cool. I didn't do it. To be very clear, I did not do that.
No,
you just added in the loaded part.
What?
Well, to be honest, he knows gun safety and is supposed to clear a weapon properly, and he didn't.
And he was also in the middle of teaching me gun safety.
Well,
which I think
apparently
is the
not very
funniest-
well.
I know. It was the funniest part of that is that he was in the middle of teaching me a bunch of gun stuff, and then he picks up a gun. I'm like, I'm in the middle of saying, "Hey, I just put the chamber back in that bam."
Jesus.
As
Christ.
I'm warning him not to undo the safety, he fucking fires.
Wow,
the gun.
that went very diagonal.
Yeah.
I went that way, I see.
Yeah, I went like diagonal down in. So it did. At least this shelf is fucked, but everything else is fine for the most part. It barely touched the back, and it kind of got the backboard here.
Trash it.
Okay.
Oh, do you want your lights and stuff?
Yeah, I'll take my $200 lights.
Hey, those didn't get shot somehow.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, that would have been.
Apparently, his tripod got shot.
Yeah, he got my fucking tripod.
But I'm not going to
right in the
complain.
middle.
That means we can get shit taken care
I
of.
could hit that tripod better if I was aiming.
Like, honestly. Like, you couldn't have been more lucky if you hit the cords. I mean, unlucky. Can I keep the shelf?
I mean, sure, if you want to. I'm more worried about the second hole down at the bottom.
I was actually asking. Let me.
Oh.
I figured you wouldn't mind.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not like the shelf's hurting anybody.
Yeah. But, hey, let me check it out.
Grab a
So,
coffee or something.
there's this hole right here, which is the impact, but what the fuck is that? That
Did
looks
it
like
ricochet?
It looks like it ricocheted.
Inside the wall?
No, because it didn't. Yeah, no, I don't know what that other hole's from.
Maybe a different time somebody shot?
Ah!
It is a hole.
It is a hole, yeah.
That's not a ricochet.
No, it's not. No, that's a too perfect of a hole to be a ricochet, anyways. I just.
Let me.
Celia, by the way.
I did not realize she was still home until Tate came and grabbed her. I
Oh.
was like, she didn't hear anything apparently.
She did.
No, she did not hear the gun go off.
Fucking Jesus Christ, those two will sleep through a fucking nuclear bomb.
Like, honestly, like, I don't know how you don't hear a 10mm going off right below you.
I can hear you yelling. She heard the gun most like. I don't know, dude.
She didn't know that a gun went off. She was like,
That's-
what gun?
Hello?
Aggressive shot. That is literally dead center through the tripod. So, Brian said
You're
he's
a
going
bitch.
Grayson?
Brian said he's going to fix the hole in the wall and buy you a new tripod, so.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Tell Lemmy I love his big,
He's
beautiful
gonna
bald
replace
head.
it. He's got the money. Trust me. He's not broke. So.
Yeah, alright.
You like the setup? I had this out in the garage still, so I just. I think that's the one from in the camper, is it not?
Huh?
Did you have that out in the
Yes.
camper?
See if Lemmy wants to play Beef 6 with us.
Fuck nuggets. Hey, Grayson.
Lemmy. Hey,
What's up, dude?
is Lemmy still there?
Yeah, he's right there behind the camera.
Tell him that we should play Beef 6 since
Oh.
I'm off tomorrow.
Grayson says he's off tomorrow and he wants to play Beef 6 with you.
This is the only box I have. If there was a router in that box, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Why?
Because that's way too big of a fucking box for a goddamn router. Oh my god.
Hi.
It's a router.
It's the router.
Holy shit, how big is this fucking router?
I told you it was.
Can't hear you. Who's talking?
It's Cayman's talking. He got a router and it's fucking matched.
Shit!
Holy shit! The size of my
Did
fucking
someone?
torso.
By the way, what happened? What happened?
I'll tell you later.
I told you it wasn't worth.
Okay.
It was only like $200. I don't care.
That's pretty good for $200. That's a huge motherfucker.
Well, the size doesn't mean shit.
Well, I'm assuming it's like all decked out, which is why
No,
it's
it
so
just
big.
looks like a spider.
Really? That's it?
Stupid.
It
Well,
says
yeah,
Pro.
it literally just looks like that.
So there's no reason for it to be that big.
It looks like that.
No, you can achieve higher and multiple MIMU bandwidth
Okay,
and
so
something a hell of a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the worst part is not even Wi-Fi 7. It only goes to Wi-Fi 6.
Wait, with something smaller?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The old one we had was
Your
the
dick.
ubiquity ones, the fucking pocketbucks like this, and they can do
Better?
most times that.
Oh.
the one that Lemmy had in here before is better than this one.
So why did you get this one?
Because the one that he bought was like $400.
Oh.
I mean, I need it.
Well, I mean, it's still good shit though, right?
Yeah, no, it'll work. It'll work better than that fucking piece of shit. Dude, that thing barely lets Crunchyroll play in my room. It fucking buffers all the time.
Yeah, mine's been buffering a lot.
Yeah,
too.
it's because these.
Hey.
At least that didn't get shot.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my god.
What got shot?
Oh
So.
my god.
Oh my god.
I can't hear you.
That's maybe because.
It is. It's super light. Yeah. There's nothing in it. It's just big to be big. I can't believe Cecilia didn't fucking hear it.
That's crazy.
This is rack mountable, I guarantee.
No, it ain't.
That looks like something you see in fucking Helldivers strapped to somebody's back.
It's wall mountable.
Oh yeah, 100%. I should wall mount it. There's nothing behind there.
Do it.
You like the router?
Fucking awesome.
Ben put a fucking bullet through a router.
What's this
No,
weird
you
thing
shut
on your
the
wall?
Oh my god, it's a spider! And I thought there weren't supposed to be any of those in
You
Alaska.
keep cutting in and out, dude.
Hi.
Oh no.
Hey.
Hmm. Okay, so great. Pyrus. For context, earlier I was talking with Cayman's uncle because he was coming to get mail, and he was looking at my gun. He was teaching me stuff about gun safety and stuff, and then he took hold of my gun after I rechambered it without realizing it, and as I was warning him that the gun was chambered and to not turn off the safety, he clicked off the safety and shot the wall. And shot right through Lemmy's shelf thing that's behind me. So, let me get my OBS pulled up so you can see, so I can aim it right.
I can't see. It's like pretty far away from the camera anyway.
Yeah, so like that shelf though, like right there, that corner, the fucking chair is blocking at the right corner. Big
Yeah.
hole, and there's a hole in the wall behind it.
One sec.
Libby.
He can't hear you.
Hi. So
Just
there's
text
that.
Pretty bad.
Okay.
What the hell?
And then there's this.
What the hell?
Ugh.
He shot a gun?
Unfortunately.
What
Not
did
on
he
purpose.
One of his?
Nope.
No.
Is.
It was mine. I'm sorry.
Eh.
He was teaching me some stuff about guns, and I had rechambered the gun because he had instructed me to keep it chambered at all times. So I rechambered it while we were talking, and later in the conversation, he picked it up to see if, like, how the safety worked, and without realizing it, right as I was warning him, he shot it.
Yeah, so basically he cleared the round that was in the chamber, but didn't realize that Pine had put the mag back in, so rechambered the next round, and then, yeah. So, he also managed to get this tripod. Like,
Yeah.
perfect dead shot.
Like, dead center in my favorite tripod. I've
So,
had it for
Brian's
7
gonna come
years.
back and fix the hole
That's
and
funny.
fix and replace the tripod. He called me, he goes, please don't tell anybody. I'm like, well, I already told my mom. He goes, well, now fucking everybody knows. I figured now that you're here, I might as well tell you while you're here.
Yeah,
Because
I know somebody took an axe to it or
Nope.
something.
your gun nut son, who's never had a discharge like that, finally managed to have an accidental discharge.
I'm just glad it didn't happen when it was aimed at my stomach.
Yeah, no, that would have been bad.
That would have been fucking bad.
Terrorized cat.
And
Oh, I
thank
gotta
God-
go locate my possibly terrorized cat real quick. Because that's how I got my cat in the first place. Was because somebody discharged a weapon in Kara's apartment and she couldn't keep her.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how I got. Now somebody discharged another gun in the same house with my cat.
I'm sorry.
That poor cat. That poor cat's traumatized.
Beanie Baby, I'm sorry. Okay,
Your
I
fault,
think,
you.
I think I might actually have to end the stream now.
In the bedroom right above.
I don't want to though. I'm so close to 100 viewers.
Those two could sleep through a nuclear bomb.
Come hang out with me and watch NCIS.
You found your cat? Okay. Oh, there's so much crap going on right now.
You should pop into Gamer Garage and come watch NCIS with me.
I am honestly, I might take a fucking nap.
Okay.
And because later I'm probably gonna hop back onto stream. So because there's this free to play. Oh, Grayson, there's a free to play samurai game. Get on Steam right now. It's called Where Winds Meet.
I've been looking at that. Looks kind of cool.
It does. You should
But
get it.
I'm really not in the mood to play anything by hand, dude.
No, I'm not talking about.
I
for
don't
right
know
now,
what's
dude.
wrong
I just
with
meant
it.
in general because I don't know how long it's gonna be free.
I'll pick it up, but I can't really play anything with my hand being
Just
fucked
asking you to
up.
pick it up. Just suggesting that you.
Oh,
pick
I
it
will.
Up.
I will. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking new episodes tonight. I don't have to fucking do anything tomorrow. Thank God.
All right, give me 1 second. All right, everybody, I'm gonna get off the stream right now. I'm gonna hop back on later tonight, or maybe this morning, or next morning, really early, so I could play that Where Winds Meet game. For right now, a bunch of stuff is happening. I have stuff I have to do anyway. I have to cook and hang out with my buddy or my brother. So, love you guys. I'll see you around. Fuck.